Welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video talking about probably the weirdest Star Wars collectible in my collection. This is the Darth Vader Star Destroyer from Kenner from back in the day, voted by many collectors as the worst playset slash vehicle that exists. And I already talked about when I did the Bespin Cloud Car. I think that one is worse, or the B-Wing. This thing is not too bad, all things considered. What do we got here? Well, we got Vader and his henchmen all in different positions, all standing around the Star Destroyer. It's a wedge shape, like it's kind of this weird, I don't know, like a door stopper with, I mean, they really packed in a lot of stuff to this playset for trying to give Darth Vader somewhere to issue his commands from. It's a victim of somebody trying to overachieve here. They gave somewhere for the Imperials to stand there and, give pursuit to the rebels and do what they can, but it's just not really working. So we've got Vader himself, Death Squad Commander, Imperial Officer, a couple of Stormtroopers. And speaking of Stormtroopers, since we're talking about a Kenner toy, it's time for me to once again break out the old Stormtrooper Whiskey. And I'm going to have this floating in space. Why am I doing this? Well, I did mention many times before, anytime you talk about toys and videos that might seem to be kid-friendly, kid-adjacent, what have you, COPPA might give you grief. So if I have myself a little Stormtrooper Whiskey with my video, then I think I will dodge a bullet there. So as always, I will wish you cheers, and we would be honored if you would join us. Good stuff. Okay, leave that back floating in the mist of space. So what do we got here? Well, as I say, we got this wedge-shaped pizza slice toy, which playset that it does have a couple of handles to lift it up with if you so desire. It's got a laser battery here that I think there's like, oh no, there isn't. I thought there was a way to turn that. I don't think there is. There must be. Anyway, well, we'll get to that later. We also have some very interesting things. Now, I mean, the toy itself, it's very basic. You've got Vader's little meditation chamber there, where he can sit inside. I might put him in there later. The front of the meditation chamber has a little window, and there's an LED, or not LED, oh God, no, not an LED, pre-LED, I think. There's a little incandescent, kind of like a flashlight light bulb inside there. 2 C batteries go up the neck of that thing, and there's a button on top that you press. I was going to use that feature for this video, but unfortunately I found that the batteries, which I know are good, are not making a contact inside there. Some of these coils and pieces of metal are 40 years old. I don't want to force them, so I just thought, no, you know what? You will have to imagine Vader inside with that little window lit up, showing him musing with the Force and thinking things over. It's got a fair amount of room. You can make out the places there where the Imperials are standing. There's quite a bit of floor space there for all these guys to do their bits, type away at their consoles, and maybe come up and beg forgiveness for from Vader for having lost to the Millennium Falcon. And in fact, there's a weird image used for the advertising, or for the box of this, where Vader can punish his Imperial, like it actually shows here, the Death Squad Commander, hanging from the rooftop. There are little foot pegs for him. Yeah, so for some reason, if you wanted Vader to be like punishing one of the Death Squad Commanders, like in the picture, you can do so. There's these little pegs up here that he can hang from. But I thought that was more something the Wampa would do. I don't really get why that's happening to an Imperial. You can do that if you so desire. One of the strangest features of this playset, and it has a mystery attached to it, is you can slide a little lever here and drop down what is basically a clear piece of plastic. And the idea is it's just got a little moire pattern on here, just a little swirly thing. The idea is, I guess you could then put, I don't know, Stormtrooper or somebody on the other side, and from the kid's point of view, looking, you know, as from Vader's perspective, that Stormtrooper appears to be a hologram, something like that. Don't really get it. But what's very strange is, and I got to give a shout out and a thanks to that Junkman who does a lot of Star Wars toy collectible stuff. There was actually on the box for this playset, they mentioned that's where Vader can make his communication to the Vizier, the Imperial Vizier. Now, according to that Junkman, that was actually a scene cut from The Empire Strikes Back. In a couple of the scripts, it was going to be some delegate, some important person in the Imperial office system that took Vader contacting the Emperor and said, just a minute, I'll get the Emperor for you. Basically putting Vader on hold. And in the Kenner box, they talk about the Vizier, but that scene was cut from the movie. There are some Imperial dignitaries seen in Return of the Jedi. Maybe that's the final place that Vizier idea went to, but this is a very strange thing to have posted on the back of the box for this playset, because kids everywhere must have been thinking, who's the Vizier? What's that all about? That's actually an interesting little mystery that I'm very glad Junkman actually went into. One awesome bit is you can recreate the scene where the bounty hunters are all aboard the Star Destroyer and the Imperials can sit there and mutter to themselves, bounty hunters, we don't need their type here. And Bosk and Boba Fett and the others. I don't think I could squeeze all 5 or 6 of them up there, but I'll have a representation team here for you. They can discuss with Vader, you know, there will be a significant reward for the one who captures the Millennium Falcon, but no disintegrations. And let's suppose Bosk decides that he doesn't like that, and he's going to defy Vader, and that conversation does not go well, and Bosk wants to get the heck away. Well, there's actually an escape hatch right here. You push the button, and he can theoretically make good his escape. I'm not sure why that was decided to be added to the toy. Maybe they realized it's a little bit like the scene in the original Death Star where they kind of go down into where the trash compactor is. Maybe they were recreating that. Whatever the case, let's have a drink. But perhaps one of the strangest features of this playset, and I don't really get it. Again, big thanks to that Junkman for bringing this up. On the front of the Kenner box, it mentions that there's a way for the Millennium Falcon to be part of this playset, and everybody kind of scratched their head for the longest time. What the heck are you talking about? How do you attach the Millennium Falcon to this? Are we talking that scene where the Millennium Falcon is attached to the back of the Star Destroyer fuselage? That sort of famous bit? Well, apparently that was something that maybe was going to be a feature of this, and there is a weird way to do it. I'm not going to, but I'll show you the idea. On the back here, we have just some, you know, rudimentary greeblies and details and all that kind of stuff. And obviously this has been through a nebula recently because of all the space dust. But these two spots here can actually kind of line up with the landing gear of the Millennium Falcon. And you can, if you so desire, see, you've even got clamps here. You can theoretically hang your Millennium Falcon toy off the back of there. Here's footage of somebody that Junkman talked about in his video where he actually did it. He hung the Millennium Falcon right off the back of his toy. I wouldn't recommend doing that. You certainly don't want to have any kind of damage to your collectible, but that was maybe what they were talking about on the front of the box. A very strange concept, a strange idea that was, I guess, considered going to be what you do with this toy. And I found the control for the gun. There is actually a little trigger thing up front where you can actually kind of move the gun side to side. It's gone a bit a bit tight now after all these years. We see how it's kind of turning and making a little bit of a clicking noise. That's the idea there. You can man the turret of the Star Destroyer if you so desire. But there we go. There is my Darth Vader Star Destroyer playset. This thing is really old. It's not as terrible as people make it out to be. There are a lot of collectors who have kind of poo-pooed this as the worst of all the Star Wars playsets. I don't think that's fair. This thing is fine. It gives Darth Vader somewhere to stand around. So it gives the Imperials a place to go, things to do. You know, with the meditation chamber. I'm not going to bother putting them in there, but with the meditation chamber, you can recreate that scene. You've got the escape little hatch. You've got the weird idea of like the officers down below in the little gullies as Vader and the bounty hunters walk around on the layer above. You've got some neat ideas like with the turret and stuff. You can, and I guess it's overall kind of triangular, not really, but it's close enough. And there's that mystery of the Vizier, the cut scene from Empire Strikes Back. Very strange stuff. And that is the Darth Vader Star Destroyer Collector's playset. So, once again, I will wish you all good luck with traveling through the galaxy and avoiding Vader and his troops. And until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.